Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I'm Francesca Schuler. I'm the CEO of InShape Health Clubs. I'm also a member of the California Fitness Alliance, and we are thrilled to welcome the governor and the first partner and Mayor Go to our InShape Bakersfield Health Club here in California. First, just wanted to thank you for being here. It's been a crazy last few days. I think the energy around the state has been palpable, but we are exceptionally excited for today and the announcement that's going to be coming in the first partner, because we believe what this new initiative is not just going to help California roar back, but it's going to help Californians roar back, because at the end of the day, our health matters, and I think this new initiative is a bold step forward on that. We also are very grateful to have Mayor Go. So I just want to say thank you to her. She has supported Bakersfield and the team this whole time. For those that don't know who the California Fitness Alliance is, we are an alliance of operators of yoga studios, big health clubs, little health clubs, YMCA, kids clubs throughout the state of California. And we have one mission. It's quite simple. It's make California a healthier place and give safe and equitable access to all Californians to find a place to exercise. We also represent our teams who are, for those that have never worked in the fitness industry, who come to work every day, they put on their uniform, and their simple goal is to change someone's life by helping them get started on their exercise journey. And I would say there's one thing we've learned this year is that health is essential, physical health and mental health. We have seen people who are strong because they're physically healthy, mentally healthy, and then they've been able to withstand almost anything. And for those that have not, it's been devastating. So there's no question that health matters. Exercise is a core part of that. Fitness is a core part of that. So on behalf of the CFA, we are thrilled to be here today to collaborate with the governor and the first partner and all Californians to get everyone moving again. And I just want to take a minute and say thank you to all of our teams from the California Fitness Alliance. It has been a hard year for us, and we are so grateful for your extraordinary resilience and staying committed to the health of all of our members in California. We are so grateful. Y para mi equipo que habla español y no inglés, quiero agradecerse mucho lo que has hecho por nosotros este año. Ha sido un año increíble y el futuro va a ser mejor que el pasado. So we look forward to becoming, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesca. I think you are going to be delighted to hear what Corey, where are you? Corey? Francesca? When Corey walked in, he said, "This center is the nicest center." And I said, qualify that, the nicest center. But Francesca, thank you so much for your leadership. We really appreciate it. I remember in April when you reached out to me, and this is what you said. It was the fitness industry that reached out wanting to help others. And it wasn't how can we help ourselves, it's how can we help our community. You reached out, you wanted to help our first responders, and we so admire you for that. Health is essential. And Mahatma Gandhi said, "It is health that is wealth, not silver, not pieces of silver, not pieces of gold." And in this last year, we have found that health indeed is wealth. That truth now resonates more than ever, that to be healthy, body, mind, and spirit is the quest that we seek. It's more precious than anything else. And I'm so grateful today for the Fitness Council, for all that you've done. I'm so grateful for the governor and the first partner for their investment in looking ahead. Governor, you'll be very pleased to know that in our community, one of our hospitals has already reached out to say, let's focus on health. So as we move forward today, let's focus on roaring back, healthier than ever. Health indeed is wealth, and Bakersfield, California wants to be the healthiest city in California. We face big challenges with health. But Governor, thank you so much for your repeated visits to our community and now your emphasis on making us healthier. There's someone who has joined us today. I get to see the governor pretty often, but today we get to have a very special person. She's actually, I think, a soccer star. Is that right? She is co-chair of the Alliance and also a major advocate for women and uplifting women. But I think probably more than anything, she is the proud mother of Montana, Hunter, Brooklyn, and Dutch. And so let's do a warm welcome right now for the first partner, Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Come on up.
Good afternoon. It is such a treat to be here. Buenas tardes a todos. So I'm Jennifer Siebel. Really grateful to be with you all here today to Council on Physical Fitness and Mental Well-Being. As a lifelong athlete and proud mom of 4, I know that physical fitness and mental health are intrinsically bound together, and that when we are healthy in mind and body, we're able to flourish in all aspects of our lives. You probably don't know this, but sports and an active lifestyle have always been a part of my life. I did play varsity soccer, tennis, and basketball all 4 years of high school and was a Division I athlete at Stanford, where I played soccer and actually played on the women's under-23 national soccer team. I had a lot of injuries, but that's another story. But as you can imagine, the physical and mental well-being of people of all ages. And as a mom and as your first partner, I'm especially committed to supporting the health and well-being of California children and youth. When it comes to our children, providing them with equitable opportunities to learn about and practice making healthy choices is crucial for their long-term health as well as their success later in life. Specifically, research shows that lifetime attitudes towards physical activity, sports, nutrition, and wellness are formed early on in life. We also know that establishing healthy dietary and physical activity patterns during childhood is a critical public health strategy for preventing chronic diseases in adulthood. And activities that promote physical health, like playing sports, spending time outdoors, and consuming fresh, locally grown foods in schools, also support our kids' mental health, their social and emotional learning, and their academic and life success. And while there's no doubt, we all know that the pandemic has impacted our children's physical activities, increased their screen time, and heightened their levels of stress and anxiety, inequitable access to economic, physical, and emotional health supports contributed to health disparities in California long before the pandemic even reached our state. So there is much work to do and a lot of opportunity in front of us. So now I want to address California's Spanish speakers. Ahora quisiera dirigirme a los californianos hispanohablantes. Como madre de 4 pequeños y alguien que jugaba fútbol y otros deportes por varios años desde pequeña hasta la universidad, yo sé que la salud física y mental es crucial para que podamos triunfar, superar obstáculos y alcanzar la felicidad. Para nuestros hijos, la oportunidad de aprender y practicar estrategias para mejorar su salud física como mental es muy importante, ya que las investigaciones científicas muestran que sus actitudes sobre la actividad física, los deportes, la nutrición y el bienestar se forman a temprana edad. También sabemos que establecer patrones de actividad física y dietéticas saludables desde la niñez es una estrategia importante para prevenir enfermedades crónicas en el futuro, como las diabetes tipo 2. En cuanto a la relación entre la actividad y la salud mental, estudios han revelado que la participación regular en actividades físicas reduce el riesgo de desarrollar depresión y puede mejorar muchos de los síntomas que viven con depresión. Pero hoy en día, solo el 20% de los adolescentes a lo largo del país cumplen con las pautas federales de actividad física. Y un estudio reciente de mi organización, California Partners Project encontró que los adolescentes utilizan la tecnología como sedante. Usan la tecnología y los medios sociales sin pensar por aburrimiento, mucho más allá del punto de disfrutar y a expensas del descanso y la actividad física. Además, más de 2 millones de niños en California no tienen acceso a alimentos frescos y saludables, y los niños afroamericanos y latinos reportan inseguridad alimentaria más del doble que los niños que viven en hogares blancos. Y 6 de cada 10 californianos no tienen el acceso fácil a parques en su vecindario, a pesar de que un estudio encontró que solo 20 minutos al aire libre ayuda a reducir los niveles de hormonas del estrés. Para abordar esos desafíos, debemos cambiar fundamentalmente la forma en que nosotros vemos la salud. La salud no es solo el bienestar físico y la ausencia de las enfermedades, también es un estado de bienestar mental, social y emocional, como decía Francesca. Como copresidente entonces del nuevo concilio asesor del gobernador sobre la aptitud física y el bienestar mental, estoy dedicada a promover estrategias estatales para incrementar las actividades físicas, mejorar el acceso a nuestros parques estatales y esos gimnasios, promover políticas del campo a la escuela para apoyar la nutrición infantil y promover el bienestar total de nuestras comunidades y en especial nuestros niños. Porque sabemos que en California saludable comienza con niños y familias saludables. Bueno, gracias.
I'm going to take her word for everything she just said. I heard the word stress, though, and mindful, that emphasis, mindful of the importance of how everybody is feeling. It's been a hard year. And let's just level set. This has not been a hard year. This has been a profoundly painful year for not only millions of Californians, hundreds of millions of people across this country, around the world, continuing to struggle and suffer through this pandemic. You saw what happened just a few days ago in the United Kingdom. They delayed their reopening for a month because of this new Delta variant. You've seen what's happened around the rest of the world, in India, places California. We were pleased to move forward beyond our blueprint with no more physical distancing, no more social distancing, no more capacity restrictions in the state, and the state has aligned firmly with the CDC guidelines as it relates to vaccinated people not having to wear face coverings and masks. Tomorrow, OSHA will codify their published regulations they put out on Friday, and we will move forward to clarify any ambiguities as it relates to shortly after their action. This state is open for business. This state has now fully opened. And as the mayor said, and I was very grateful, by the way, I have a hard time with my 4 kids' names for the fact that the mayor didn't even have a note. He didn't even say a note. And had the names of all the kids. I'm humbled by that, and honestly grateful to her sensitivity and generosity for even mentioning their names. But the fact is, look, a lot of folks have been significantly impacted. They're not back out on their feet. While the state is roaring back, as the mayor said, not every sector of our economy is roaring back. Last month we had 38% of the America job growth. 38% of America's jobs came out of the state of California last month. No other state in America in the last 3 months come close in terms of the job creation. We truly are the tentpole of the American economy in terms of the national consequence. We're operating by close to an $80 billion operating surplus. It's the largest operating surplus in U.S. history. It allows us to provide $12 billion of tax rebates, the largest tax rebate program in American history at a state level. And by the way, those checks are going out over the course of the next few weeks. You should be receiving. I say you because 3/4 of taxpayers are going to receive direct rebate checks in the mail or in their accounts over the course of the next few weeks, up to $1,200 if you have children. But we're in a position where we have to reconcile those that do not feel like they've been part of this recovery, don't feel like they're part of these statistics, don't feel like they're part of California anymore because of the impacts of this pandemic. Folks that truly have been left behind, folks that are very worried that they're going to be under tense duress at the end of this calendar month when the moratorium on evictions expires, feeling intense duress around their ability to continue to keep it together mentally or financially, just to keep their kids, getting high quality child care so they can go to work. Those that can't even find work or gone back to the job they used to have and find out the business is shut down. And that's why we're providing $4 billion of direct grants, not loans. Small businesses, medium, big business doesn't need any more loans. We need direct grants, and the state's put out record $4 billion in grants. We're going to add 100,000 new child care slots, unprecedented in California's history in this budget. We're going to do more to address a lot of the pre-existing conditions like homelessness and housing affordability, $12 billion, by the way, to address the issue of homelessness. But the issue that perhaps defines all other issues outside of the macroeconomics of affordability in the state is the issue that really brings us together here today. And that's the issue of physical and brain health. Remember, the brain is part of the body. And while we work hard to exercise the physical, we don't do enough to address our mental health. And that's been exposed, significantly exposed in this pandemic for everybody. Don't think just because someone's wearing a suit and tie or has some fancy position that they're not struggling out there as well. A lot of folks hidden, others not hidden. They're out in the streets and sidewalks with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, paranoia, self-medicating with drug or alcohol addictions. It's easy to moralize that as you're sitting there having your second, third Chardonnay, watching Fox News or MSNBC to get through the night. And a lot of us are just trying to get through. And this last 15 months has made it much more acute. And so we're here today to not just identify that as a problem and a pre-existing issue that's been exposed, but also address the remedy. And that's why I'm very grateful for the CFA and their strong advocacy. They haven't been timid. They've been very direct. And I appreciate that, understandably so. And I'm a small business owner. I have the privilege, Jen and I, we started, we've got about 700 employees in the state, 21 little businesses, restaurants, hotels, wineries. Trust me, I understand what these stay-at-home orders have done. Trust me, I understand what the modifications, the restrictions have meant. Trust me, I understand business and the cause of my life before I got into politics. And so I have a direct appreciation and empathy and gratitude to everyone that puts everything up on the line. It's not about dollars and cents. It's quite literally leveraging your family and your dreams and putting everything out there. And, to see that evaporate because of external realities, to see that frustration, the fits and starts, the vagaries that is a pandemic. You think you're out of it, and all of a sudden it comes raging back in the fall. Now we've got 9+ variants that we're tracking, not just a Delta variant, double mutation from India, but a B117 from the UK, 2 West Coast variants, a New York variant. Add a name, and I'll give you a variant and a mutation. I mean, we're mindful. Big and important as the announcement was yesterday, we're mindful that this disease is not taking the afternoon off. It's not going to take summer months off. It's still raging around the rest of the world. And even in California, it took lives of over a dozen people yesterday. They won't be around on July 4th to hug their families and friends. And so as we work through this, we need to work on ourselves. We need to start to be a little more, dare I say it, selfish. If you want to take care of your family, you got to take care of yourself. That means you need to get back on your feet. And we want to be here to help you get back on your feet. Not just physically, but all the attributes of that physical exertion that inure to your mental benefits. And we want you to connect with folks again. I appreciate all the virtualization that's happened in this industry, but there's no substitute for the serendipity that is life of meeting people, friends, strangers, old friends, and coming together as a community. I think it was a Surgeon General, current Surgeon General, who was previous Surgeon General, who said that the #1 preventable disease in the United States of America is social isolation. I mean, think about that in the context of this last year. He said that 3 years ago. Can you imagine in the context of where we are today? And so as important, as powerful, all the choice that you have with mirrors that talk to you, try to direct you, or bikes where you can go to the Alps, or you can go to a studio in the UK. No substitute for being together. And so I want to encourage folks to get back good health by coming back, supporting your small businesses, support the clubs, support health clubs, support each other in that process. Renew your membership. If you've been on the fence about getting healthy again, you don't have to wait till New Year's Eve to do your New Year's resolutions. Make January or June 15th sort of the turn the page day. Start building your goals for the next half of the year. And goals are nothing more than dreams with deadlines. So manifest those dreams. You got to do the work. And so come out, support clubs like this, support In Shape Health Clubs, which, by the way, are supporting communities like this. And Mayor, thank you for all your support for not only this club, but so many other businesses out here that have your back in Bakersfield. I love, we were talking a moment ago, this is a chain of health clubs in cities that aren't necessarily always on the top of mind for people in terms of California cities, but are some of the most vibrant and dynamic, fastest growing communities in our state, just like Bakersfield is. One of the most dynamic and innovative cities, as the mayor and I talk about, in the state of California. That's why I'm here, because we're really proud of this community, proud of the Central Valley. And I say to all my colleagues in the legislature, don't intellectualize the valley. Come out here, visit, get to know folks out here, see these incredible businesses and the amazing people, men and women working here. And so I'm here in that spirit and in that light. Let me just close by being a little more pragmatic about what we're announcing. We really want to be now intentional about our goals as a state. We actually want to establish goals. We have no fitness goals as a state. Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't have to be the only fitness governor. I know my status, God rest. But we want to sort of reinvigorate this fitness council. And we want to bring in the wellness component. That's why Jen's here as a partner. But she's also a ridiculous rock star athlete. She's understated. I had to go to her Hall of Fame thing at her high school. She was like the first class Hall of Fame, #1 in this. Fancy Stanford soccer player and the national team. And, I got 4 little ones. We're all, I'm ready to send them to the military camp in Florida. But, that's just because that's who we're competitive. But we're athletic in the context of just trying to be healthy and trying to build a little bit of sense of well-being, wellness, broadly defined in our family. We want to see that for every family in the state of California. So we're going to reconstitute this committee. We got 15 members. We got all these experts that are here representing the diversity of the industry that can bring to bear, to light, build collaborations, partnerships nationally, not just within the state, regionally, but also within the industry and partnership with businesses. And we're going to bring, it's a little selfish, forgive me, I got to choose, so sorry. But, I have a little bias to Ronnie Lott. So, 4-time, I'll rub it in, 4-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer himself. So Ronnie from the 49ers, ex-49ers, is going to be co-chairing with Jen this council. And we're going to work aggressively in the schools. We're going to try to create, we talk about lifelong learning, but that learning should also include physical education and wellness. And so we want to get into the schools. We want to deal with the underlying causes of obesity and want to deal with good nutrition habits. We want to get cut across the spectrum of full whole person care. And so I'm really grateful to be here and really grateful to be here with a remarkable group of people that went through a lot. And, I know it, we can't make up for what happened the last 15 months, but the one thing I think we've all learned is our minds have been stretched. It means it never goes back to its original form. And we're more resilient, we're more capable than we ever even imagined. If we knew what we were about to be into, we would have said, no way I can handle that. But you handle it, work through it, and we'll dust off. There was, we're not where we want to be, and we're not where we were. But I'm confident that as this economy roars back in California, that this industry will continue to be as vibrant and will help lead in that recovery as well. And so, forgive the long-winded remarks, but I wanted to be here in the spirit of enthusiasm, a little bit of passion, and as well, pride, because I'm very, very proud of so much what this industry has done for the health and wellness of 40 million Californians, but also the future of fitness happens here, California, first. And so thank you all for the privilege and opportunity to share this announcement. And of course, we're here, as always, to have the mayor answer all of my questions. Any questions?
Hi, my name is Emma Gallegos. I'm a reporter from the Bakersfield, California. I was going to ask
yeah,
the first
Jen.
partner a question.
Yeah, this is, hey, please, you don't get to leave. Yeah, welcome to my, by the way, it's great that she came all the way down to beat the heat. Trust me, it's hotter in Sacramento than it is down here.
Yeah, well, I wanted to hear more about the Fitness Council from you, and I felt like there were even some details you shared in Spanish, and my Spanish is a little shaky, so I got a good sense of the goals, but I wanted to get a sense of, I guess, more of what the tangibles are, so yeah.
Well, we don't have a comprehensive strategy for physical fitness and mental health in California, and so we have a lot of work to do. And we know that, if we can sort of organize, the requirements and sort of, strategy for helping kids at the youngest of ages so they form these lifelong habits and practices. So that's one element. And then the mental part, the mindfulness part is a separate element. Obviously, we want to look at the competitive sports industry and how we can be supportive of cross-fitness and cross-training, but helping kids not also, just asking questions to improve, to better support them so that they're not burning out at a certain age or having these ridiculous injuries at the youngest of ages. And it's, it's everything that this club affords. It's about the whole person, right? Just like it's about the whole child. It's the mental, it's the physical, they're connected, they're one. We have, I would argue, a public health crisis in this country right now, which is related to mindfulness and mental health. I don't think technology's been our best friend in this realm. And so I think we have to reverse that. We're the home of technology, and I think in California, I always say it's like you got to get outdoors, get some fresh air. You've got to exercise, indoors or outdoors. You've got to come together in community. That's what's so beautiful about gyms. I'm excited to see, families coming to gyms. We were talking earlier about not just the CrossFit opportunities for preteens and teens who have been specializing in sports for too many years, but also the opportunity for kids that aren't athletes to be physically fit and obviously develop these skills and this passion and just this daily practice at the youngest of ages, which is about families being a part, moms coming in. And then also one thing we learned is that moms, this is actually important to me, that moms aren't coming into gyms the way dads are. And we want to see more balance, especially since moms were coming in prior to the pandemic. And so I think there are a lot of structural and cultural issues that we can address through this council of making physical fitness something for everyone and creating more balance because we know that moms, especially who have been holding the burden of childcare and homeschooling or distance learning at home, we know that that physical fitness is critical to their mental health, more so than ever. I mean, we moms can't hold any more on our shoulders, so this is like the perfect outlet and escape and opportunity for everyone to heal. And then we also need to address the trauma that COVID has exposed us all to. Some, obviously, if you talk about equity issues, some more than others, but this is physical fitness and mindfulness exercises and yoga and all these different, cross-training exercises are ultimately going to help us all get through the trauma that some of us aren't even privy to what it's done to our soul, right? I mean, we're still coming out of this, right? How many people are exhausted? How many people are still quick to go to anger or fear or anxiety? How much, you look at suicidal tendencies and teens and everything, and there's so much benefit to California really leading in this arena and recognizing the whole person, the whole child, and really implementing policies and practices at the earliest of ages that can be monitored and ultimately benefit the individual child and the family and then community at large.
One of the things we also want to demystify, it's not about looking like Schwarzenegger. We want to deal with some of the body shaming issues. It's a wellness. I think what Jen and I have talked about. We really want to bring a wellness framework. It's not about sort of sculpting a body. It's really about focusing on health. And there is no, by the way, no bigger driver of costs, locally, state, private sector, or public, than healthcare costs. We all should be worried about long-term healthcare liabilities in the state, this nation, in terms of our unfunded liabilities. This is the space. The ROI on this is off the charts. This is if you're conservative and you care only about fiscal issues, this is your issue, because this is the biggest cost driver of government.
Governor, last year, 500 people in your home city of San Francisco died of fentanyl overdoses. 125 in Kern County died, the bulk of them from Bakersfield. This fits, I think, into your what we're talking about here. What can you do in conjunction with federal authorities, local authorities to stem this?
Look, I mean, the fentanyl issue is real. And by the way, I was down at the border a few weeks back. We were talking about some of the fentanyl issues coming through the border and some of the highlighted issues. And we, as you know, we have National Guard supporting some of those efforts, California National Guard, specifically as it relates to drug interdiction. Beyond that, it's a demand problem more than a supply problem. Supply is obviously a predicate of demand, and rather a result of demand. And so that demand is about despair. It's about pain and people numbing their pain, people that feel hopelessness, lack purpose, and lack any capacity to feel optimistic about their future or the future. And so in so many ways, shapes, or form, what we're talking about here today is about shaping not just the body but a mind to focus on incremental achievement and to focus the mind in a positive way where we're sort of aligning with goals, establishing goals, creating a sense of purpose. And that's a community effort. I mean, that's not easy. I mean, drugs have been around since the beginning of mankind. And fentanyl is among the most potent forms of that. And as I say, I'm not here to moralize that. I've had many friends that have died of heroin overdoses. I've been very involved in drug policy reform, and the disparities in crack and powder cocaine, which is very, very contemporary, particularly with the Supreme Court's conversation this last week. And as you know, not everyone agreed with me, but I led the effort with an initiative a few years ago as it relates to cannabis policy reform. And it all ties into criminal justice reform. So for me, it's all about health. Fentanyl is not a criminal justice issue as much as a health issue. Yes, we have to address some of the border issues. Yes, we have to address some of the criminal element behind the issue of drugs. But that said, the user side, I just don't moralize. It breaks my damn heart. And I know some people, want to lock everybody up. I want to help folks, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I can't imagine how many, these guys were in sports, so you'll understand this, but, not all of us in the businesses where you get credit for saves, maybe in baseball. But I imagine the amount of lives these guys have saved because they got a damn gym membership and then found something else to discipline and focus on. And so I don't want to overstate it, but I think it very much connects why we're here today as well. Appreciate the question.
Hi, Governor. Erin Roney with Eyewitness News. A question that kind of ties into a little bit of both what you touched on, eating locally.
I love that you're asking, Jen. This is so much.
No, you get back up there. You both get back, no. But a little bit of both about what you touched on is eating locally, and then something else is not every sector is able to recover. And here in the Central Valley, the Central California area, a lot of farmers got a notice about having water cutoffs and how bad the drought has been. And you unfortunately caught us at one of the hottest times of the year. We're about to hit triple digits again, and we're in June. So I want to ask a little bit about maybe what assistance or plans or any initiatives that are going on to support those farmers who may lose their water.
So broadly, as you know, we presented a package to the legislature of over $5 billion in investment, a medium, long-term, but also immediate relief related to drought, safe drinking water, emergency water supplies. We have a water strategy in the state, meaning we put out a water portfolio plan. It's the first time we've had a contemporary plan in decades, and we're going to begin to fund it because of this historic budget surplus. That said, we're dealing with a historic challenge with a drought that's returned in the state of California, a drought that really began, on the west coast of the United States in 2000. In some ways, we've been in this mega drought for a few decades. in the western United States. And now we're back into a mega drought that's impacting, obviously, here the Central Valley, but the entire state of California, 41 counties formally under a drought emergency declaration. I made it crystal clear when we announced the first one a few months ago, and then followed up a few weeks later that there'll be more, and I anticipate there'll be many more declarations over the course of the next few months. Look, this drought and the water supply is now at basically where we were 5 years into the last drought. So it's very serious. The hots are getting a lot hotter and a lot sooner. You made the point, triple digit in June, one day, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, or at least 4 or 5. And to see that happening over the entire West Coast, this sort of heat dome that we experienced in August last year, but experiencing in June, should rightfully raise alarm bells and wake up all of us to this new reality, this new abnormal. So many of us are becoming accustomed to, but not necessarily embracing, understandably. So look, we'll do more with assistance dollars. I've been on with Secretary, both Vilsack at Ag, but also the Interior Secretary, directly working on assistance and grants for farmers, farm workers support. We put a lot of money in the budget, unprecedented amount of money to support our ag community this year. We're working on the final language of the budget this weekend. We're going to land it with the legislature. Trust me, we are mindful of the acuity of this crisis in this valley, but I don't want to overpromise. Mother Nature, she bats last. Vernacular of what we're here, she bats 1,000. She's just chemistry, biology, and physics. And the fact that she's entered into this climate debate, I hope wakes people up to that reality. And so we're going to have to do things very, very differently. And we designed a system, a water delivery system for a world that no longer exists. And so that's what I want to bring back is a different framework, flexibility, doing voluntary conveyance. We obviously have some curtailment issues that were highlighted this week. State Water Board up there in Northern California and parts of Russian River in particular with 430 senior water rights that were impacted. That was done in a targeted way. I know folks out here are worried that that may be done en masse. It was done in a targeted way. So we're monitoring things in real time and obviously monitoring the national weather and working with our ISO partners, CPUC, CEC, which is the three-legged stool in terms of energy security. I don't anticipate any rolling blackouts, though you've seen that in Texas in the last few days because of the nature of what we're experiencing. But I don't see that in the short run, but I can assure you when I get back to work, it won't be surprising. The first thing on my schedule tomorrow morning is this issue, and we'll be talking a lot more about it tomorrow afternoon and Friday as well. Thank you.
I was gonna say, with this heat wave, though, all the more reason to join the gym and bring your family to the gym, right? So get your kids started earlier.
On message. I don't get any applause. Dee, I get no applause. By the way, Dee Myers is here, runs the Governor's Office of Business, and it's a big deal that she is here. It reinforces the partnership she's formed with all of you, and my gratitude to all of you working together and in a very respectful manner. These guys have been remarkable, and I'm very, very proud. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Governor. Alex Bell with 23 ABC. I have 2 quick questions. You said you want people to get out, get back to businesses, come to health clubs, but on the business side, we know that Cal OSHA expected to meet tomorrow, expected to vote on some things. What are some of the things you hope they get determined for COVID workplace guidance?
Well, we want to align with the CDC guidelines. As you know, they put out the draft guidelines of what they'll vote on tomorrow. They put that out on Friday, so people now have a very clear understanding of where they're going. There are some enforcement issues that create some ambiguity between the 17th tomorrow and the 28th. I want to clean those up with an executive order. There's also some concern around self-attestation and record keeping related to employers with employees that are not vaccinated. Again, the guidelines with CDC, if you're not vaccinated, the recommendation is some face covering for employers. But we don't want that to be a scarlet letter. We want to deal with some of those issues. There's also some concern around supply related to masks, particularly these higher-end N95 masks. So we're going to provide those masks. Industries, as a state, will provide them. They're now in abundance. I mean, think about that. N95s in abundance. And so the state's in a position to provide those. And then we'll work through some of the ambiguities of concern around record keeping and what self-attestation means, and make sure employers are comfortable about these mandates in an iterative process, which means this, that this is not the last act. I want to continue to work with industries, large and small, to work through some of these issues in real time, and I'm prepared to do that through executive order after we determine exactly where OSHA lands tomorrow.
And second question, with a recall kind of looming over your administration, do you think people in the state will remember some of the monetary incentives, I believe now Six Flag incentives, that you've done over the last few weeks? Do you think they're going to remember that when they go to the polls?
Well, I hope they remember this, that California outperformed Texas and Florida not only in health outcomes, but economic outcomes. California outperformed the United States in health outcomes and in economic outcomes. The economy in Florida, economy in Texas contracted at a much larger rate than the state of California. We're running unprecedented budget surpluses. Most states are not, trust me, not even close. I hope people recognize that there's been no state in America that's created more jobs than the businessmen and women here in the last 3 months in the state of California. There's a wonderful Bloomberg article came out yesterday across the spectrum, #1 in innovation, #1 in entrepreneurialism, #1 in venture capital, #1 across the spectrum, the dominant economy in the United States of America, and an economy that all the economists assert, and now it's been proven the last 3 months, is poised to outperform the American recovery because of the work we did to tame this pandemic. Now, that said, as a restaurateur, as someone with hotels, I am not naive about how the hospitality, restaurant, entertainment, and health businesses have been impacted disproportionately. So we have a special responsibility to those industries to help them come back, as well as address the issue of equity, particularly for our Latino community and African American community, so that we're all coming roaring back.
Last two questions.
Hi, Governor. Ana Ibarra with Cal Matters here. First question, you mentioned that the state will remain vigilant if cases do start to go up again. Do you have any specifics of what that would look like? Some counties are falling behind in vaccination, including several in the Central Valley. So what does it look like if cases start going up again? Do we go back to tiers? Do we start closing things again? Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, my day started like every day has started since that first phone call I got at 4:30 in the morning from then President Trump about that Grand Princess cruise line off the coast of California, that he didn't want to come into the state to increase our case rates. Every morning I wake up, I look at number of cases, deaths, hospitalizations, ICU numbers, look at the number of tests. Now I look at the number of people that have been vaccinated, and I do it by county. You're absolutely right. I think last I checked 2 days ago, Lassen County was about 26% of the county been vaccinated. We're up in San Francisco a few days ago, press conference, they had just reached 80% in that county. So there's disparities, regional disparities. You're absolutely right. And so I'm mindful of that. Also mindful of these variants. We have about 4% of the sequence, the genomes that we sequenced, about 4%, and that's the latest data. We're going to update this very shortly. Latest data, we have 4% of those that we've sequenced of COVID cases have been sequenced with this Delta variant. The Delta variant, however, in the United States is the one the CDC just highlighted as a variant of real concern. You're seeing in places like Montana with lower rates that it's north of 20% of all the reported cases. It's close to 10% nationwide. So I'm mindful of variants, mindful the Delta variant is in California, mindful of these other variants, and mindful of those disparities in terms of vaccination rates. With all that said, here's the answer to your question. We have strike teams. We're calling them ring vaccinations. We may come out with a different frame, halo vaccinations, where we will come in, we'll assess if there's community spread through community surveillance and contact tracing. We're going back to the basics. Traditional contact tracing, working with our county partners, our local health officers, and we'll be doing aggressive vaccine efforts and pushes in a more targeted way with these strike teams that we're forming. We'll talk more formally about that in the next number of days. But I assure you we're going to maintain our vigilance. The reason I was down today, and I thank you for recognizing some of the latest incentives. Anyone want to go to Six Flags? 50,000 free tickets if you get vaccinated. You can get $50 today if you haven't been vaccinated. I actually had cards in my pocket. They're downstairs. If you want to get vaccinated, I'll hand you $50. We got literally tens of millions of dollars we're doing there. Chipotle, Taco Bell. You can go today if you're vaccinated and get free queso blanco and that addictive, though I know you do not recommend, Dorito tacos at Taco Bell, right? In some ways, maybe you do recommend it because you got to work it off. I get the business model. But that said, I'm making the point we're going to continue aggressively on the vaccination efforts. This is not mission accomplished. So it's part of an answer to your question. We're being vigilant. Now, you're talking about a hypothetical. What if we see a massive? That's a determination we'll make in real time on the basis of what happens in the ground. And that is, we'll do that on the basis of spread, epidemiology, on not only the availability of vaccines, but most importantly, hospitalizations, capacity to take care of people that are contracting this virus, this deadly virus. And we'll be talking more formally about what that will look like.
And my second question is, given your message here on health and wellness, does this, and you're in the middle of budget negotiations, does this mean that, counties are more likely to get the $200 million in additional funding they've asked for public health and to rebuild their public health infrastructure?
Yeah, look, the $200 million is important and significant. It's a $250 billion budget. Let's put it in perspective. And we're putting hundreds of billions of dollars. We have a $100+ billion comeback plan, quite literally $100 billion comeback plan. And we are doing transformative work to reimagine our healthcare delivery system, particularly the Medi-Cal system, and to support our entire medical system, including expanding eligible services, doula services, and other services under Medi-Cal. So there's a lot of things we're doing in the public health space that's among the asks of some of the health providers, and we're working with the legislature to see where we land on that. But I appreciate you asking that specific question. But I want people to understand the aggregate, the totality of the health investments, make that important, but I hope contextualize it with all the other investments. It's among many things we're doing to improve health outcomes in this state. But we're not done? There you got it. Okay, I was going to end, but you got the last word.
Hi, Governor. Rob King with KUZZ. Particularly during the lockdowns, fitness centers were some of the most outspoken critics of these lockdowns. How have you guys sort of set aside those differences to collaborate on this?
By respecting each other, respecting those differences. There's nothing they said that I didn't agree with. I mean, this is their business, it's their livelihood, it's their identity, it's their families, it's their life, it's their employees, it's their families, their lives. It's not about money, it's about life. And it's about their dreams being dashed because of pandemic-induced recession that impacted the entire country. There were a few parts of the country spared from stay-at-home orders of some way, shape, or form. People, even businesses that were open in some places, no one showed up because they were scared to death and employees were scared to death. So this has been tough. And, that December and January, those were particularly tough. And that was a time when people really were getting frustrated, and yet we were seeing numbers go through the roof. And it's hard to see. When we look at our models, we see things 3-4 weeks in advance. Others don't necessarily, and it's always hard to square that. And so, we worked together, and we're all here, and I'm just grateful for that dialectic. That's what it's all about. Well, this concludes the comments, and I got to say, I was pretty impressed with Jen's Spanish, but that's just a separate conversation I'm going to have, but I want to make it public. And I'm grateful that she shared it. And Francesca's Spanish as well. So I appreciate that. So I was going to say, you don't have to hear me translate everything I just said. So I will end this with gratitude and appreciation for the spirit that brings us all here together. Gratitude and appreciation for being back here in Bakersfield. Thank you to this remarkable and resilient community here in Bakersfield. Thank you to folks out here in the Central Valley. Know that folks up in Sacramento have your back. We're looking forward to all of you getting back to work, not only safely, but in the spirit of this announcement today, much healthier than when we got into this pandemic. Thank you all very, very much.